19. If you would, please call the roll, Herman.
Commissioner Barrett,
Here.
Commissioner Marcano,
Present.
Commissioner Jones,
Here.
Commissioner Gutierrez. I haven't seen him yet jump on.
He's not on.
Commissioner Ritter,
Here.
Commissioner McLaughlin,
Here.
Commissioner Parsons,
Here.
Commissioner Hart,
Here.
Commissioner Masters,
Here.
Vice Chair Bowman,
Here.
Chair Cook.
Here. Okay, the first item on our agenda is public comments, and we do have several people. However, I think only one so far is in the meeting, and that would be, oh, good. Commissioner Mullica, Adams County Commissioner, please.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much. Chair and members of the commission, thank you for your leadership and opportunity to speak today. Adams County supports multimodal transportation systems, and we value transit options like Bustang. But the CDOT 10-year plan must remain focused on its core purpose, delivering capital investments that improve safety, reliability, and modernize the corridors that power Colorado's economy. And for Adams County, those needs are urgent. Corridors like I-270 and I-25 North and US 36 are among the most critical and most strained in the state. They carry freight and commuters at a regional and national scale, yet they continue to experience high crash rates, severe congestion, and ongoing impacts to surrounding communities. At the same time, I want to be really clear. We support transit. But today, Adams County does not even have a Bustang stop serving our community. If we are going to invest in expanding transit systems, those investments must include communities like ours. Access must be equitable, and right now, our residents are not seeing that benefit. We also have concerns about how limited dollars are being allocated. Funding generated from the corridor should benefit that corridor, and we should not be diverting resources away from communities that are contributing to the system, particularly the expansive service on I-70 Bustang, while areas like Adams County are still waiting for basic service. Transit operations should be funded through dedicated programs or legislative appropriations and not through limited capital construction dollars in the 10-year plan. We do want to use these limited resources to rebuild and modernize the corridors and carry Colorado's economy forward. And Adams County believes that the answer is clear. If we stay disciplined, we will deliver safer roads, stronger freight movements, cleaner air, and a truly multimodal system that works for everybody, including the communities that have carried this system for decades. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Robert Greer, but I didn't see him, just in case. We did get a letter, or an email from Robert Greer, and we all have that. Thank you. And next is Ian Tafoya of Green Latinos.
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Welcome, yes.
Hi, my name is Ian Thomas Safoya and I work with Green Latinos, and I'm here today to testify for Bustang, a service that my company uses when we send our employees across the state to reach out and conduct community engagement. We are actually currently planning our 8th statewide tour this year, 14 cities, and we've taken Bustang to many of them. And I would agree with the previous commissioner that the service needs to expand to serve more rural communities, more suburban communities where possible for the intercity service. But it's become such a critical piece in the conversations that we've had with local communities. Think of being in San Luis, where we talked with the communities about how important Bustang was to be able to access the world-class hospitals that exist in Denver, or folks in Grand Junction equally so. The impacts when Highway 50 was closed, and for people to be able to get across the state, one thing that has been clear is like we need to close that gap from Gunnison to Montrose. So I really am just here to say that I know that CDOT's working on solutions, and you're talking with CTI board. I know that local communities are concerned, but at the end of the day, we see climate as a leading case beyond just the regular equity and economic mobility to improve these kinds of services. And so we just really want to encourage y'all to find a compromise that can work to keep Bustang going. You're also going to be hearing from my colleague here shortly, just giving more points about the I-270 environmental impact study and the sentiment of Green Latinos and our partners who supported. We're trying to break it down into smaller bites. Thank you so much.
And thank you. Next, we have Jamie Valdez from Green Latinos.
Hi, good morning, commissioners. Can you hear me?
Good morning. Yes.
Hi, my name is Jaime Valdez, and I'm the Colorado Transportation and Energy Advocate for Green Latinos, here to talk today about the proposed widening of I-270, as Ian just mentioned, which we vehemently oppose. I live in Pueblo, right next to Highway 50, which serves as a critical connector linking major hubs on the western slope to those on the Front Range, following the path of the historic Santa Fe Trail. This is a heavily traveled corridor, including lots of agricultural and other big rig traffic, and at times it feels like the noise is going to drive me out of my mind. And if I'm having problems, I can only imagine what the folks living in the vicinity of I-270 are dealing with, because even as busy as Highway 50 gets at its busiest, it's still nowhere near as busy as I-270 is on a regular basis. Widening the highway only invites more traffic and will therefore increase the traffic traveling that stretch of road and increase the noise and its impacts on the local community. CDOT should do a supplemental DEIS that fully evaluates the healthy communities no widening alternative, corrects the DIS's errors, and adopts real mitigation, because the previous DIS presented a false binary, widening versus nothing. It did so based on the scientifically false assumption that ambient demand for I-270 will increase indefinitely, necessitating more lane capacity. That approach violated the law and eliminated better non-widening options like the healthy communities no widening alternative.
Sir,
Yes.
I'm so sorry to pause you. We've lost sound in the room for just 1 second. So if you could just give us 1 second to reset. I apologize. Maybe can we do an Ethernet next month? Yes, one.
Might have to switch to one.
Sir, you should be.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Our apologies.
No problem. Thank you. Let's see, where was I? Okay, CDOT should do a supplemental DEIS that fully evaluates the healthy communities no widening alternative, corrects the DIS's errors, and adopts real mitigation, because the previous DIS presented a false binary, widening versus nothing. It did so based on the scientifically false assumption that ambient demand for I-270 will increase indefinitely, necessitating more lane capacity. That approach violated the law and eliminated better non-widening options like the healthy communities no widening alternative, or HCNWA. CDOT's current proposal offers little benefit to the communities surrounding I-270, a stingy approach that contrasts sharply with mitigation for the I-70 expansion. A supplemental DEIS must correct the flawed modeling framework, fully model the HCNWA, and put forward specific enforceable mitigation with at least 10% of state funds dedicated to community benefits. The HCNWA meets the project's goals with less harm and lower cost. The HCNWA proposes to manage traffic on I-270 through a better approach tolling to manage congestion, while increasing transit and offering community benefits like pedestrian corridors and bike lanes. Independent modeling found that the HCNWA would reduce peak delays by 300 vehicle hours, create access to 14,000 jobs, and limit induced vehicle miles traveled to 20 million per year. In contrast, CDOT's proposed widening would induce 100 million vehicle miles traveled per year, eliminate access to 10,000 jobs, and yield no net regional delay reduction, while costing taxpayers $1 billion. The HCNWA would address all of CDOT's stated goals: safety, reliability, transit, bike and pedestrian connectivity, and freight, outperforming CDOT's preferred alternative on environmental and community impacts. CDOT should identify and evaluate a proper suite of mitigation measures. A significant package of mitigation options, including community air monitoring, was offered by CDOT when it widened I-70, but is not being offered for I-270. CDOT should identify and evaluate a proper suite of mitigation measures and commit to spending at least 10% of total project cost on local benefits, increasing local and regional transit services in partnership with RTD and other agencies, utilizing zero-emission construction equipment and funding infrastructure like charging stations for zero-emission trucks, enhancing green spaces throughout surrounding areas, guaranteeing full public transparency on traffic and public health factors during and after construction, including real-time air monitoring, bilingual opt-in alerts when air levels reach unhealthy thresholds on regular reports. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much. And again, our apologies and mine for mispronouncing your name.
Not a problem. Thank you.
Okay, that's all we show. If there's nobody else in the audience here, we'll go ahead and move on. Our next item is comments of the chair and commissioners. I'll start on my left with Commissioner Masters.
I have no comment.
Commissioner Hart?
Just a couple of comments. First of all, again, I think that the conversations that we're having at our work sessions recently have been extremely good. And my hat's off to the staff that helps us understand a large volume of information and trying to synthesize that to help us better understand what's going on, particularly from a long-range perspective and what we're trying to do on a short and long-term perspective. And the discussions that we're having on the 10-year plan are extremely beneficial to me, and I think that they're helpful to all of us. The greenhouse gas reports, again, I thought I was really pleased to hear the presentation from my town, Pueblo. Thought it was excellent, extremely well done. And I thought it really helps quite a bit to show how even a smaller community fits well into the entire state project. And then the very robust conversation that we've been having over the last couple of months, and specifically including this morning, about how to properly fund transit and to what degree or not degree that interferes with what we're trying to do with the roads and the various projects we're trying to do. We're collecting a good deal of information, and that information has been already put out by CDOT, and more information is going to be going out in the future that I think is going to be helpful to everybody. One thing that I do worry about is when sometimes emotions get involved in these conversations, that sometimes we misunderstand some of the factors that we're seeing. And so I think it's a good idea for all of us to say, okay, let's go ahead and slow down just a tad, take a look at the exact facts. If there's a debate over the facts, let's go ahead and do it. But let's go ahead and get those facts pinned down so we know literally what we are talking about. And then we can have a more robust conversation about policy decisions as we go forward. And I think that that's exactly where we're headed with, the conversation with Shoshana Liu this morning and the rest of the board, the transportation commissioners. I think that's precisely where we're going. So I'm particularly thrilled with it. I think everybody knows here that I'm a big supporter of transit. But on the other hand is I also hear all the comments that we're hearing statewide about to what degree are we doing things to help maintain the roads, fix our roads, and what are we doing in order to handle our safety in addition to those transit issues. And by the way, that's our top 3 goals that we've established that we are tackling and doing the best we can. The final thing I want to say, every time I'm on a soapbox, we can only do what we are allowed to do by statute, and we can only do what we're allowed to do by the funding that we are provided. And we constantly analyze our authorities and the funding that we do receive, trying to make sure that we get the best bang for the buck to achieve what the public wants and what the legislature has allowed us to do. So anyway, I just want to tell everybody, we are listening. We are hearing you. We're having just incredible conversations here in this room and in this building. And please continue to share your thoughts with us, because the conversation is not over. And how we fund all the various things that the citizens want us to do. It's going to be a fascinating conversation. I'm pretty thrilled to be part of it. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Oh, really nicely put as usual. Great summation. Thank you. Vice Chair Bowman.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to thank Chair Cook, Commissioners McLaughlin and Ritter for coming to Grand Junction last week to present to Club 20. Bravo to Jason Smith for rounding us all up and putting together a very effective presentation. It was so well received that we ran out of time for questions due to a packed schedule, and they've already asked us back. So that we feel really great about that. Thank you to those of you who reached out to me about the importance of Bustang. As Commissioner Hart mentioned, we are deep into discussions on that and funding options, and we'll continue to do that in the next few months. I do want to say congratulations to the Pueblo Area Council of Governments on their long-range transportation plan, which they presented the commission yesterday. It was very impressive, and thank you, Darius, for all the work that you did with them. So I wanted to mention that I've heard a lot from many people who are concerned about aging bridges in Colorado. It was great to be reminded that the 10-year plan, the Bridge and Tunnel Enterprise, is increasing its preventative maintenance investment, which will include 72 projects with a focus on fixing, replacing poor bridges, culverts, and other poor structures. And lastly, in Region 3, we are on the road and look forward to attending annual transportation meetings with county commissioners about their projects and needs. Thanks to Jason Smith for letting me tag along. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Jones.
Well, I want to echo the prior commissioner's comments about the great presentations we've been having, and kudos to staff for really being responsive and providing us really useful information. A couple of them that are really worth highlighting. We had a great discussion about fire mitigation and all that CDOT's doing on that. And as we head into a week where we're going to break records for summer temperatures in March, we're just reminded of the importance of CDOT's focus on mitigation and all the things they're already doing as we adapt to our changing climate. I also thought we had a great continued discussion around Bustang, the funding. I've been doing a lot of outreach in District 4, talking with local electeds and beyond District 4, actually, whenever I find myself in a transportation conversation, asking people what they think, and getting a lot of really useful feedback on the importance of Bustang, but also, you know, the need for benefits, going back to corridor users and how to really create some sustainable solutions. And being an optimistic person, I am confident that we'll reach a resolution to be able to accomplish both of those goals. So more to come there, but I think we're having the right conversations, and I appreciate everyone's input on that. I think I guess the only other thing I would say is I particularly appreciated the analysis that Darius and company did relating back the draft 10-year plan to the PD 14 goals that the Transportation Commission had laid out before I even got here, on maintenance and sustainable transportation options and safety, and how the 10-year plan worked to try to reach those, and highlighting the benefits also of transit, in particular with regards to bus staying. All that was really useful information, and I encourage folks who weren't there yesterday to look at the presentation as a good resource for that information. So that's all for me.
Thank you. Commissioner McLaughlin?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I ring into as a thank you for all the work that everybody's doing for us and with us. We really appreciate it. I'm still new and it's a fire hose of information that's coming through. So I appreciate when everybody stops and says, here's what's really going on, and they talk to me in English, and that's really very helpful to me. I'd really like to thank Julie Constant and Jason Smith. I get to work with them, and they're really, really great working for and with in our districts. As you heard, we did have really great success at Club 20. I'm not sure if we've ever had all the Western Slope representatives, transportation commissioners over there at one time. So they were really happy to see us and to talk with us. And thank you for organizing all of us. And I also want to say thank you a lot to CDOT and to Club 20 members and our federal partners for getting our federal funding back for our really dangerous highway, Elmore's Corner, 160 East. We were really kind of frantic that we were going to be losing that money. And it's a really dangerous strip of highway there. So we got that back with a lot of help from a lot of people. And I'm really, really happy with that. We're going to have some good animal crossings, and we're going to get another lane in there and put a roundabout in. They've been working on this since the late 90s. And so it was time to get this done. I'm also hoping that, and I did warn Julie I was going to say this. We have a huge bike race coming to Durango in 2030, and we have a bridge, an underpass that is being planned, and we're really looking forward if we can get the money for that sooner than later to get that planned so that all the bikers that are in Durango do not have to cross the highway. And fortunately and unfortunately, we haven't had any deaths at that crossing, although they've tried to kill me a couple times. But until we do that, we don't really have that safety measure that we're thinking about that we need to do to get the money for this crossing. So I'm hoping that it's a countrywide bike race that we're having, and I'm hoping that we can get a lot of, including CDOT, a lot of other people to chime in and say we need this so they can go under the highway instead of crossing at a very dangerous. We run across this intersection and everybody high fives each other that we lived another day. So it's a very exciting crossing there. Anyway, so working hard, visiting with my constituents, and thank you for all you do for us. Thanks.
Thank you. Commissioner Ritter?
Thank you very much. First, I'd like to make a comment. Thank you, Chair, and Commissioner Bowman for inviting us all and really encouraging us to come to the Club 20 meeting in Grand Junction this month. It was a unique opportunity to meet with concerned citizens about our roads and highways, but also about wildlife corridors, other bus staying, and a variety of other issues, not just related to the Western Slope, but that have impact across our entire state. This past month, I believe I did 1,000 miles in CDOT meetings from Walden to Hot Sulphur Springs to the aforementioned Grand Junction. And as I was driving and thinking about this morning, I realized how the conversation we had about wildfire mitigation was so appropriate. I drove Highway 125 this month. And with the snow against the burned out trees from the fire a number of years ago, it really did look like nuclear winter. And I can just say that, our roads are a bit of a protection for fires jumping across our roads. But the less that we can, shall we say, incur activity which would enhance those fires, the better off we would be. So thank you, team, for beginning to mitigate the potential of fires along our roads. And that's my comments for the day.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Hannah Parsons.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I want to echo my colleagues' thanks to the CDOT staff, regional partners, and the public who contributed to the development of the 10-year plan. The amount of coordination, analysis, and public engagement required to bring something like this together is really significant. I personally have learned a lot over the last 2 years working through this process, from just the frequent presentations, the town hall meetings, and I've appreciated the opportunity to learn and to participate in the conversation. So thank you for that. Second, I especially appreciated the workshop, like as my colleagues mentioned, about the covering roadside fire mitigation yesterday. I think that is something that's really top of mind for all of us right now with all the increasingly dry, warm, and windy weather. And it was really interesting. I learned a lot in the presentation that I didn't know, including the fact that the highest risk areas that are at highest risk of wildfire may not be the ones that we assume. So I think that was a really good education for me. So I appreciate that. And also just, I continue to be reminded of the breadth of work our teams at CDOT are doing throughout the state. So we appreciate that. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Commissioner McConnell.
Thank you, Chair Cook. So I'll begin by just letting everyone know that on March 9th, there was a working group stood up by the city of Aurora. It will be an intergovernmental working group that will include the Transportation Commission, Arapahoe County, and other involved stakeholders to take a look at Gun Club Road and see what the options are to improve that corridor for the city. So I'm very excited to be part of that group and looking forward to collaborating with our colleagues. I also just want to echo that what everyone else has said. Yesterday's workshop was fantastic, very informative, not just on the fire safety issues, but I was also really excited to see what's going on down in Pueblo, because I know that there's going to be a lot of Coloradans descending on Pueblo in about a week and a half here. And I'm hopeful that folks are going to be able to see a lot of the improvements that have been happening in that region. And yeah, I also just wanted to echo some of the, comments around the funding challenges that we're facing here in Colorado. And for what it's worth, we are not alone in that struggle. I was actually just out in California this last weekend for my day job, and I had a chance to speak with a BART commissioner, that's Bay Area Rapid Transit, for those of y'all who are not familiar with that region. And they're facing some funding challenges there too. They have a 1 cent sales tax measure that they're going to try to pass this November to keep both BART and Muni floating. And, part of the conversation that I had with this commissioner is that federal highways the federal government subsidizes highway funding to the states, right? A lot of CDOT's funding comes from this source as well, but transportation or other modes of transportation are not really subsidized to the same extent, or anywhere near really in the same neighborhood as we subsidize highways. So it's a challenging situation because we know that we need other ways for folks to get around. I think it's around 30% of Coloradans, right, don't drive or own a car. And we need to make sure that everyone is able to get from A to B, whether it's a doctor's appointment, employment opportunities, childcare, et cetera. We know that we also need to maintain and improve what we do have. And we also have to gather data so that we can deal with the facts, as Commissioner Hart kind of began her reports by stating. So, we had a little bit of that yesterday with the really, I think, helpful information around Bustang and really how it's a massive cost saver for the riders, and it has a direct economic impact on people and also for, our state. But we need to gather some more information to see if where we're currently putting our funds are, really efficient, if we're getting the best bang for our buck. So I'm looking forward to future conversations around that. And I just want to thank all the staff for all their hard work to keep us informed.
Thank you. Commissioner Diane Barrett online.
Thank you, Chair Cook. Aside from echoing all the thanks to CDOT and the amazing work that they do to prepare for these meetings for us. I don't have anything else to say today.
Thank you very much. And the advantage of going last or nearly last is we can say what they said, because everybody did such a good job of reciting the things that we've been looking at, how interesting they are.
So true.
Yeah, I would highlight a couple of things. One, I really appreciated also the wildfire mitigation presentation and the work that went into that, and especially the fact that CDOT, in response to elevated risk this year, is getting ahead of that and doing some really good stuff. Several of us will be meeting with Jefferson County commissioners and staff and citizens in the coming weeks, so all that was good prep. Secondly, thanks to Club 20, to Jason Smith, to Julie Constant, and especially the commissioners here for making that trip to Grand Junction such a productive one. You know, Vice Chair Bowman mentioned that they ran out of time. They even had to postpone a resolution on their agenda because the questionings and sort of the engagement went on so long. It was really productive and positive. And then finally, and I suspect Director Liu will be talking about this, but a real treat this last month was attending a ribbon cutting for the US 40, resurfacing another work up out of Empire and then up to 6 miles up US 40 to the start of Berthoud Pass. I loved that because you could see the immediate effect that those improvements had for the town itself, not just the motorists, but the people living in the town, because US 40 is their main drag. So CDOT was able to improve drainage there, add pedestrian bulb outs, flashing beacons and so forth. So with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Director Liu.
Well, I could say what she said on the ribbon cutting. And one of many incredible examples across the state of the kinds of work that are going on roads large and small to make these types of improvements that tackle rural roads, urban roads, and these places that sort of stand at the interface between thoroughfares and community access points. It was also a day that highlighted the weather range we've been experiencing. We drove into the snow and back into the sunshine, and I think that that's kind of indicative of what our teams have been contending with this winter. And as we talk about the incredible work that went into the fire mitigation presentation yesterday, I think that that's a very good example of the adaptation that's happening with our team, sort of figuring out what to make of this most unusual winter, which has some points of ease in terms of snow mitigation, but we all know is going to make for a very hard summer. And unfortunately, we've started to see in the past week or two the types of fire patterns and the wind events that are likely to ensue because of the dryness that we're experiencing right now. I think that data point that we talked about yesterday, that we're sort of likely to be at peak snowpack now, long before that is usually the case, is something we're going to be dealing with for months, if not longer, to come. And that's it's going to change the nature of the work that our maintenance forces and others are going to have to do across the state. On other fronts, a very busy legislative session ongoing, and Emily, whom you'll hear from, is doing yeoman's work in sort of tackling a deeply eclectic range of topics that are coming up in the transportation space, most of which were not coming from us, but we have to deal with because of their relevance. There's been some discussion about topics like the Multimodal Options Fund. Again, those didn't emerge from administration proposals, but they're coming up in the legislative dialogue. So we're sort of working through them and trying to hold the transportation community harmless to the extent possible. A few other examples of the types of issues that are coming up. There is some discussion of the sort of future of autonomous vehicles in the state, and some debate about what should or shouldn't be allowed. And it's kind of bringing up that these kind of emerging technology platforms are something that we have to work through thoughtfully and try and not have kind of abrupt decisions made in the legislative process. So again, a big thanks to Emily for being our ears to the ground, particularly when we're in commission meetings, but it's been a sort of unusually busy few weeks in that space. Lots of good dialogue on the kind of transit and rail front, and with CTIO and CTE, as each of the enterprises works through how to grow in their responsibilities in those spaces. Piper's been doing incredible work on multiple fronts, including a kind of behind the scenes huge step for Mountain Rail, getting, the first in a series of agreements signed with Amtrak on a, 4:55 PM or so on a Friday afternoon, but really led a very hard dialogue in that space and got an important rate limiting factor over the finish line that sort of preserves the critical path to getting service next year. Craig, on the other hand, is holding, a very well thought through workshop with the CTE board next week to talk through the growth of that group and their responsibilities. And a lot of work has gone into sort of thinking about how the Clean Transit Enterprise scales up to be able to work parallel to the Transportation Commission and others. So looking forward to participating in that. On other notes, you heard a little bit about the great work to save the Elmore's East project. I would add a thanks to Julie for working very closely with us. I would also add a thanks to the Federal Highway Administration. My view is that this one, was able to be preserved because the administrator's office at FHWA, working closely with us, was able to see the import of the project and sort of directly articulated why it was important. And we were really appreciative. I don't see John Cater, but everybody from John on up to the National Administrator's Office was very helpful in elevating this project, and really a big thanks to the headquarters office directly for the work in preserving this grant. And we've invited them to come see what a great project it will be as soon as it is underway. And then, finally, I would just end by noting that I had a chance to take a quick trip to Grand Junction this month to say goodbye to one of our incredible maintenance leaders, John David, who some of you have never heard of because you only know Sage. The nickname that he goes by, and has been with CDOT for, I think, almost 40 years when we did the math. He was humble about it and didn't count his years as a temp at the beginning, though when his team was doing the math, an awful lot of folks were born after he started his time at CDOT, and he's just been an incredible leader in the organization and is going to be deeply missed. So Sean and I both joined a goodbye lunch to say thank you for his service, and we're very excited that Ken Schneider has been named as the Section 2 leader moving forward, another CDOT veteran in one of the most important maintenance areas in the state. Section 2, for those of you who don't know all of our maintenance boundaries, it covers the vast majority of the western slope. So it's a big, important area that has really that whole western stretch of I-70. So big month for us, and thanks to everybody for their work. And Keith is going to cover another pressing topic, so I'll just let him go directly to that.
Okay, Chief Engineer's report. Hi, Keith Stepanek.
All right, good morning, Commissioners. All right, thank you, Jamie, for pulling up a slide deck. So this is the first time that I've done my Chief Engineer's report with a slide deck, so I can't wait to do it. So I wanted to, there's been a lot of talk in the media and also within the walls of CDOT about our speed enforcement program. We've done our second deployment up on I-25 North, and we do have some preliminary results of both 119 and I-25 North that I wanted to share with the Commission, just to get the information out there. It's some exciting updates for us. Really working hard on this program to get it moving from a CDOT perspective. Ben and Yesenia are here today. They spend many hours getting this program up and running, whether it's our CDOT rules, whether it's working with our vendor, working with the media, working with our comms division to get the information out there. But with that, I just want to show a couple slides here, about 4 or 5 slides of the program for an overall update. So next slide, please. So I do want to take a minute and tie this back to why is CDOT doing this? Why is CDOT running an enforcement program that typically law enforcement would do? Well, we have our first widely important goal, which is advancing transportation safety. We're trying to cut down on serious injuries and fatalities by 22.5% when you take a look at the numbers in FY23 compared to the numbers in FY27. These strategies, the 4 strategies that we have for fiscal year 25-26, our current fiscal year, one of them is achieve 200 speed safety camera days in state highway work zones. So we are very well on our way to meeting that for this fiscal year. The deployment up on 119, along with the testing period that we're into at I-25 North right now, sets us well on our way for that. So I just wanted to tie that back to why CDOT is doing this program from a safety perspective. Next slide. Yesterday, when Darius was going through the 10-year plan, we had a lot of ties to proven safety countermeasures from FHWA. Speed enforcement cameras are one proven safety countermeasure. So there's just some stats up here of where we believe we are going to get some reductions in serious injuries and fatalities with the use of this, and hopefully outside of our deployment areas as well. We're hoping that this sends a message to the users, to the drivers across our networks to slow down, that we are, along with other local agencies, getting up the speed enforcement program across Colorado. And hopefully this helps supplement law enforcement, allows them to focus on some of the areas they really need to focus on. And also, it also should provide a safer enforcement for law enforcement. I would not want to be stopped on the side of the road giving someone a ticket. So doing this from an automated perspective does provide safety also to our law enforcement. So we always look out for CSP, and we really think that this will help from a safety on the road and an enforcement perspective as well. Next slide. So just some information. This is the exciting stuff from an engineering perspective, seeing stats and information like this. What I will say is the warning period began in July 21st of 2025. The violation period began on January 12th of 2026. We have an extended warning period as we were working through some of our rules, working through our back office to make sure all of the violations and the processing were correct before we went live, which on the graph says go live. So that's when we started issuing the violations. So to date, as of a couple of days ago, we've issued a little under 39,000 warnings, violations, just under 10,000 violations. What the graph on the screen shows you is you can see starting in, I'd say around July of 2025, we were in our testing period and we were capturing the speeds from these same devices. And so you can see that we had upwards to, the blue is the northbound 119 and the orange is the southbound 119. You can see on northbound, we had over an average of 1,500 travelers a day exceeding the speed limit by 10 mile an hour. So between 10 and 24 mile an hour over the speed limit, we were capturing upwards to 1,500 vehicles a day. On southbound, I'd say a little bit around about 500 average. Once we started the warning period, along with some of our comms and media pushes and information like that, you can see a dramatic decline down to 500, 250 cars a day over that speed of 10 to 24 mile an hour. It's stayed pretty uniform up until the go live period. We've also seen a drop in that as well. And the little squiggly lines along with those graphs are kind of the deviations where you really see it really captures, and then the bold line is the average. So I would say we are very happy with what the automated speed enforcement is doing, the deployment on 119 is doing. So next slide, we get into one of our newer deployments, which is up on again, segment 5 of I-25 North from Meade to Berthoud. The warning period began March 1st. The violation period is going to begin on April 2nd. As of a couple of days ago, we've issued just over 4,000 warnings on that stretch of the interstate. And you can see again here on the graph, I-25 southbound is the orange, I-25 northbound is the blue. You can see before we got to the warning period, we had about, I'd say about 2.5 weeks of testing where we were able to capture some of the speeds. And you can see the southbound was up around, I'd say if you want to average it over that period, around 4,500 to 5,000 vehicles speeding between 10 and 24 mile an hour, or 10 and 24 mile an hour over the speed limit. And then the blue, we had a little bit more succinct, I'd say around 2,000 vehicles a day. Did the media push, comms, told everyone our warnings were starting on March 1st. We saw another drastic decline. Right now, I would say we're averaging, if you would add them together, about 500 vehicles a day exceeding that speed limit window. So we're looking forward to more decline in speeding. We're looking forward to getting the deployments out there. Our vendor is working very well with us. We believe that it's going well on both the deployments. So we're now looking at a third deployment down in El Paso County right now, where some of our fatality rates on the roads are the highest. So we continue to look at this program. We will continue to look at the data from a crash reduction perspective as well. I wasn't ready to share that information with you all today, as we're still continuing to go through our stats. When we get our crash reports in from our local law enforcement, especially CSP, there's a little bit of a lag to it, so it's not instantaneous data. But we're hoping that the reductions in crashes, serious injuries, and fatalities mimic what we're seeing from the speed perspective. So more to come on that. We will follow up with commission on those data results here in a little bit. But very impressed with what's going on, and we continue to look forward to aiding law enforcement on reducing the speeds out there on our highways. So with that, that's all I have for today. I'd be happy to answer any questions on this issue or any other issues.
Any questions? Go ahead, Commissioner Jones.
These results are very heartening and impressive. Am I right in understanding that ticket costs cover the administration, or is there some limiting factor in terms of deployment of this tool in other corridors?
Yes, great question on the revenue perspective. Right now, we are very well in the red on this program, as we have a lot of upfront costs to get the program going, getting hearing officers under contract. We're seeing from I would say our rough stats right now, these cameras cost us about $13,000 a day to operate. I would say that from a revenue perspective, we're starting to see the numbers cover that, but we have a lot of back end costs to cover before we start getting into the revenue perspective. But from my perspective, that's okay. If we can get the speeds down, hopefully we can cover our costs with this program. I would hate to see us get in excess revenue from this perspective, but if that happens, that excess revenue goes to our road safety perspective with a preference to VRU. So that's where that would go. But right now, I would say it's a little bit too early to tell exactly where we're going to land from a revenue perspective. But right now, it's kind of the least of the worries. It's really to make sure that the system operates, that it's fair, and that we can get through the process.
Just a quick follow-up. My question was really aimed towards, if this is such an effective safety tool, be nice to deploy it throughout the system. And I didn't know if funding would be a limiting factor, or if we can roughly cover the costs through the penalties so that we would have the ability to use the tool wherever it would make sense.
I would hope it's not a limiting factor. I would hope that once this program grows, that we can cover our costs. With that said, right now, with the importance of the wildly important goal, I think we are definitely looking forward to putting the funding there to make this program successful.
Thanks.
Yeah, to this point, we've mainly focused on construction zones with their heightened risk to the people working there and so forth. I've seen really good coverage, a lot contributing to getting awareness out there, but especially on social media, good public response to the program. So just want to commend you and the comms people and so forth. So thanks for all you're doing. Very impressive.
Yeah. And I just wanted to follow that up. CDOT can't do it by ourselves. So we're hoping the local agencies all follow the rules, follow the state statute, and help build a successful program across the state. So if we can ourselves, and we can team up with locals to get this deployment across the state network, I think you're going to see a pretty effective reduction in speeding.
Excellent. Thank you.
Right, thank you.
Okay, we don't, John Cater from FHWA was unable to attend today, so we don't have FHWA. Oh, I almost skipped CTIO. Come up, please, Piper. Thank you.
Kidding. I always appreciate the opportunity to talk to the commission. couple updates for me. One, I really appreciate all of the positive feedback on the joint workshops that we've been holding together. I appreciate the opportunity for my board to engage more fully with the Transportation Commission. So I look forward to more finding more of those opportunities as we continue to talk about bus staying and transit and CTIO's role in that. So really appreciate the opportunity to engage with the commission and include my board in those discussions. You may have noticed yesterday there was a new face in the room. I wanted to let the commission know that through Senate Bill 184, we received a position to hire someone to support all of the new work and help us manage the new congestion impact fee. So we have hired a multimodal finance deputy. Her name is Meredith Moon. She was in the audience yesterday, so you may see her up at the dais. She's going to be obviously very involved in helping us implement all of the projects Director Liu mentioned. She's very involved in joint service already, Mountain Rail, and really the full suite of projects. So she was really appreciative to be part of the discussion yesterday. So just wanted to make you all aware that you may see a new face at the table for CTIO in the coming months. We have tolling commencing up north on segments 6, 7, and 8 on April 7th. So wanted to make the commission aware if you're driving up on those segments, we have quite a robust communications campaign going out. I don't think there is any channel we are not touching. We obviously have radio, billboards, we have some print advertising up there, as well as sort of geo-targeting on Pandora, Instagram, any social media channel you can think of. But one item that I wanted to highlight, which is new for us, is we had a partnership with CSU. We are utilizing some of their billboards on campus to directly advertise to students. We also had table toppers in their cafeteria and advertisements in the campus newsletter. So a lot of engagement with the student population on not just tolling commencing, but also the safety and tolling enforcement program commencing up north. So that was a new partnership for us. And I think we're really excited to get feedback from the students and as well as school administrators on how that program went. So wanted to highlight that new partnership that we have with CSU up north. And you will also obviously see VMS boards and lots of messaging out on the roadways. We go live with tolling and also launching the warning period for the safety and tolling enforcement in tandem with tolling up there. So we'll report back to the TC on kind of the outcome of the warning period. Similar trends as to what Keith just showed you. We are seeing that warning periods from our early corridors, which was back in 2023, we're seeing a significantly lower violation rates for our newer warning periods. And overall, our latest stats through the end of last year show that we've seen a 92% decrease in violation rates across our network. So I'm very hopeful that our numbers will also be very low for this warning period, but we'll certainly report back to the commission on just how the safety and tolling enforcement program is going and how that deployment is going up on the northern segments of I-25. So happy to answer any other questions, but those were my updates for the month.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, now we'll go on to the staff report. Gary Beatty, please.
Good morning, Commission. Thank you for having me. Our meeting was on March 5th. Our one main item of action was to give our support for the 26-27 budget. So we give our support for your adoption of that today. We always would like to see more funding for all the projects we want to do, but we approve the budget as presented. So give you that. Some of the other highlights from our meeting, we had an update on the statewide transportation improvement program and demonstration of their new portal where you can get in and see all the projects in the 4-year STIP and the progress or where they're at on all the projects from surface treatment projects all the way up through the construction projects and things that are in that. So it's a lot of data, but it makes it a lot more available for communities and places to see what's going on the state system. One of the items in a TPR report that I found interesting was South Central reported on, they were having meetings with New Mexico about their new I-27 that's coming across northern New Mexico to connect to I-25 from Texas. And with meetings with them, they're like, well, we need to start looking at improvements on I-25 to handle that potential additional traffic that's going to be diverted through that route compared to the 287 corridor through eastern Colorado. Some of that shift that may be happening in future traffic on a new interstate that's being worked on. And then also win those conversations with New Mexico. New Mexico's interested in trying to connect to the Front Range Rail to go on into New Mexico. So I thought I'd share those comments. That corridor, just another for the TPR, the Port Plains corridor is 287, which is a high priority designated federal corridor that had been working to try to become a future interstate to help divert traffic from I-25. New Mexico and Texas have gotten that designation for future interstate. So that traffic is likely to get diverted back onto I-25 that was going through eastern Colorado and some of our other roads. So also federally, I'm hearing that the new federal authorization is looking at starting a new future interstate funding pool to help fund future interstates around the country on these corridors that are having increased traffic and trying to make sure the country stays connected for all the things that move around. So just wanted to share that perspective since that was mentioned in our TPR or the STAC meeting. The other item, we had the Bustang outrider or out Bustang overview and financial outlook. A general feeling on that is, as you guys have also been struggling with, is how do we fill that backlog or the future shortfall that's coming for that. Generally, there's a hesitancy to divert money from other funding sources that are to go toward road improvements and maintenance and operations. But there is the support for Bustang. So it's that constant struggle that we're all facing is how do we fund these things when we try to expand and not. Just a personal perspective from the presentation yesterday on some of the figures being presented. The cost of running a vehicle is 60 to 85 cents per mile. It was presented for the fare charge for Bustang. It's 17 cents. If you take just the operating cost of Bustang, it gets up comparable to the operation of a car per mile. When you throw in the full capital of Bustang, it gets higher than a vehicle. So just to be upfront and honest with all the figures and how you're analyzing, just wanted to kind of give perspective and how other people may start looking at those figures that are being put out and be prepared to truly balance the cost of transit and things. Transit does offer all the other benefits we mentioned, but we need to also be honest about the true cost of operating, the true cost when you throw in capital and all those things. So generally, Bustang does have good support. We had the letter to the budget committee to try to keep MMOF funding that was lost. So it's a very difficult position when you want to expand things, but we're short on funding for everything. So we appreciate your input and things and considerations on moving forward and trying to find funding sources that don't steal from another underfunded portion of the transportation system. The other thing, the Freight Advisory Committee has also asked that we start having them involved with STAC, have a presentation to them back and forth between another industry group to make sure our system is sharing information back and forth on needs and projects and things going forward. So we're going to be starting doing that with the Freight Advisory Committee, which is the freight industry. So I think that covers it. Any questions for me?
Good report. Any questions for Gary?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we have Emily Hadaway, who I think is online. Legislative
Hello.
report. Hello.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. Yes, as Director Liu mentioned, it has been a busy few weeks at the legislature, quite a variety of topics that we're covering. Multimodal Options Fund is definitely a hot topic. The JBC did vote to sweep that $10.5 million annual general fund transfer. The governor's office had a comeback on that yesterday. So OSPB gave a presentation to the JBC, so many acronyms all the time, to the Joint Budget Committee with a list of the different decision items that they would like to come back on. And they requested that the JBC reconsider that sweep and look at bringing more funding back to the Multimodal Options Fund. The JBC wasn't super receptive to that, so unclear if that will end up resulting in an additional action, but that was one of the developments of yesterday. As far as bills, the wildlife crossings bill that we've been anticipating has dropped. That is a bill being sponsored by Senator Roberts and Speaker McCluskey, as well as Minority Leader Simpson. The bill allows DOR to charge it allows people to pay an optional fee at the point of registration that would be remitted to the Bridge and Tunnel Enterprise to fund wildlife crossings. So the fact that it's an optional fee, it's essentially kind of a donation for people that would like to contribute to those infrastructure projects. So that's a bill that's been introduced, and I think it's likely to pass given that it's an optional fee. Let's see. CDOT's bill, HB 26-1237, Transportation Safety Modifications, will have its first hearing in the Senate soon. That has passed the House with little discussion. HB 26-1127 will also have its first hearing in the House next week. That is reporting after fatal car crash. That is not technically a CDOT bill, but it is one that we are supporting, and it originated from a recommendation from the Drunk and Impaired Driving Task Force, which CDOT sits on. Let's see, transportation statutory cleanup is on hold right now. We're just waiting to potentially add some amendments to that bill. So awaiting a new hearing for that in the Senate. We didn't testify. We were available for questions this week on the oversized overweight permitting bill. That was HB 26-1248. That bill did not move forward in House committee, so that has been postponed indefinitely. And we also testified yesterday on the autonomous vehicle bill, which Director Liu mentioned. That's autonomous automated driving system commercial vehicles, HB 26-1286. We testified in an amend position and presented a potential compromise on the legislation. A lot of the legislators seemed receptive to that. The bill did move to appropriation, so it's waiting a new hearing, but I do think there'll be continued discussions on that bill in the coming weeks. And then lastly, we are also engaging closely on HB 26-1318. That is traffic safety near schools. So that has some mandates around the size of school zones. And so we're working with the sponsors on some potential amendments on that bill as well. So I'd say those are the main ones, but there's definitely a lot of other bills too. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Emily? One quick one, Emily. You spoke of potential amendments on the statutory cleanup bill. Do you know what those might be?
Yeah, there's potentially one around repealing the need to have a rule for noise mitigation, that we don't actually think a rule is needed, that we are fine with just the statute as is. So that's one discussion that we're having. There's a few other kind of small cleanups that maybe we want to fit in the bill, but they're just having those discussions right now.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, we move on to our regular agenda. We have 5 items on the consent agenda. They are, I'll read them, the regular meeting minutes to approve those of February 19, 2026. Resolution 2 is IGA approval for items over 750,000. Number 3, disposal parcel 140R-REV1 in Steamboat Springs on US 40. Proposed resolution number 4, the John Jack Thurman Memorial Highway designation approval. And number 5, road access appeal, or R4 access appeal access application, number 425-127 on State Highway 85. Anybody want to remove an item or vote on it separately? Otherwise, is there a motion?
Move approval.
Commissioner Jones?
Second.
Commissioner Marcano, okay. If no other discussion, let's go ahead and vote. Everybody please in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, anybody opposed? Nope, looks like that's good. So we'll move on to resolution number 6. This is the condemnation authorization request on US 6 160 Elmore's East project. We workshopped this yesterday. Hello, Keith.
Good morning again, Commissioners. Thank you, Chair, for introducing this agenda item. As you said, it is related exactly to the workshop that we had yesterday regarding the subject property on the US 160 Elmore's project down in Region 5. We went through a lot of the details on why the project was needed. I guess where we're far apart on negotiations with the property owner, and the request to move ahead and get approval for to initiate condemnation proceedings. Again, hopeful that we don't have to get to that point, but this is a necessary step in the process to move those negotiations forward. So with that, I ask for consideration and approval of resolution number 6.
Okay, any comments or questions?
So the possibility does exist, you can still get this resolved without proceeding. Is that correct?
Absolutely. That's the case on all of our condemnation. I would say the high majority of our condemnation proceedings is it further intensifies negotiations as we start setting some deadlines as we move forward.
Anybody else? A good question, thanks. Oh, go ahead, please. Oh, you're all set. Okay, if no other comments or questions, I'd take a motion.
So move approval.
Commissioner McLaughlin. I'll second it. Okay, anybody, let's go ahead and vote. Everybody in favor, please say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Okay, I think we're good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up is resolution number 7. This is the budget supplement of FY 2025-26. Do we have Bethany or Jeff, either one?
You have
like
Jeff
Jeff.
remotely.
Okay, always glad to have you remotely or in person.
Thank you. Good morning, Commission. I'm requesting your approval of this month's budget supplement, which includes a couple of requests from CDOT Region 2. The first is a request to reallocate $1.2 million in project savings from one 10-year plan project, US 350A overlay, to a new 10-year plan project, Colorado 71 Ordway intersection improvements. The requested transfer of funds are in order to re-advertise the project. The project was previously advertised. Bids from a prior solicitation were significantly higher than the engineer's estimate. The region rejected the bids, revised the scope, and plans to re-advertise with the increased project budget amount. The second request in this month's budget supplement is a request to reallocate $1.5 million in funds from other 10-year plan transit projects that are not moving forward to another existing 10-year plan project, the La Junta Multimodal Transit Center. This will help to fill a funding gap and ensure that project is fully funded. The third request is another request to reallocate funds among transit projects in the 10-year plan, taking $2.5 million in funds from other 10-year plan transit projects and transferring those to the South Central Storage and Maintenance Facility. So both of those two requests were part of a recent effort to update some of the transit allocations in the 10-year plan and to reallocate some funds to projects that aren't moving forward to other projects in the 10-year plan that are moving forward. So happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, I'd request you consider a motion to approve.
Okay, any questions? Motion?
So moved.
I second.
Vice Chair Bowman?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Hart? Right, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Okay, that's good. Thank you, Jeff. Now we move to the budget. This is final adoption here. Resolution number 8, final annual budget allocation plan.
Thank you. Yes, I'm requesting your approval of the fiscal year 2027 CDOT final annual budget allocation plan. This follows several workshops throughout the course of the budget development cycle, including workshops in October, November, January, February, and then finally yesterday, you heard Bethany brief you on the final iteration of the budget. The final 27 budget allocation plan allocates approximately $2.3 billion in CDOT and enterprise revenues in fiscal year 27, including $857 million to capital construction, $475 million to maintenance and operations, $462 million to suballocated programs, and $114 million to multimodal and mobility services. Revenues total approximately $1.7 billion for CDOT in fiscal year 27 and roughly $600 million for the CDOT enterprises. Finally, the 2027 budget, again, CDOT and enterprises combined, include total planned expenditures of approximately $2.9 billion. Upon TC approval of the budget, we'll submit it to the governor's office for approval ahead of an April statutory deadline. I'm happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, I'd request you consider a motion to approve.
Okay, we've seen this several times. Small number of amendments on this most recent. Say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, thank you for all the work that you all have put into this, Jeff and Bethany and everybody involved. Really appreciate it. And then now we're on to resolution number 9. This is the Pueblo Area Council of Governments, GHG Transportation Report. Darius Pappas.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm asking for approval on proposed resolution number 9, which is approval of the Pueblo Area Council of Governments GHG Transportation Report as required under 2 CCR 601-22. The Pueblo Area Council of Governments presented their GHG transportation report yesterday to the Transportation Commission, showing compliance with the rule. They also showed the some of the outcomes of their efforts in order to be in compliance with their rule. They will not require a GHG mitigation action plan as required under Policy Directive 1610. And this is, of course, the last MPO from the original set to do a GHG a GHG transportation report. So happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, I would ask for a vote for approval on this resolution.
Yeah, we had an excellent presentation by Eva Cosleon yesterday. Any
So moved.
motion?
I'll move to approve, but I think that there's a question. I thought it was.
You should make the motion. I just wanted to add to the chorus of comments earlier about the excellent presentation that was made. I think it was an eye opener for many of us who haven't been down to Pueblo in recent months, all the exciting things that are happening and the work that they're really investing in. It was inspiring.
Great. It is inspiring. I agree.
I'm sorry, cut off all that great comment. So we had a motion by Commissioner Hart. A second by Commissioner Jones. Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Looks like we're good. Thank you, Darius. Now on to the last item for the TC agenda. This is discuss and act on proposed resolution number 10. This is CDOT's GHG transportation report. We'd had workshop on this a couple months back. Thank you.
Correct. So thank you, Madam Chair. I'm asking for approval on proposed resolution number 10, which is approval of CDOT's GHG transportation report, which is for the areas outside of MPOs. This is ahead of adoption of our 10-year plan. As we had workshopped in January, the report is showing compliance based off of our modeling for the compliance years of 2030 and 2050. And we are adopting a mitigation action plan as required under Policy Directive 1610, which will get us into compliance for the compliance year of 2040, which will also do voluntary compliance through the mitigation actions in the compliance year of 2040 and do additional reductions in those 2030 and 2050 years. We will present to the Commission annual mitigation action plan reports through an information-only items annually at the April TC meetings, and of course sent that over through electronically on April 1st, which It's in 12 days, so we will send it to you with a list of those mitigations, but there won't be much to report on this year's report. But but happy to answer any questions regarding the report as it was workshop back in January. Otherwise, asking for a motion to approve this resolution.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Go ahead, Commissioner Jones.
It's not a question, it's more a comment. Obviously, the vast majority of emissions really are associated with the MPOs, not the non-MPO areas. Nonetheless, just wanted to highlight again, given the record-breaking heat and drought and weird weather that we're experiencing globally, but certainly here in Colorado, it just underscores the importance of this work, and wanted to thank you for your efforts.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay, any other questions or comments? None, then I'd go ahead and ask for a motion, please.
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Jones, second by Vice Chair Bowman. With no further discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, thank you, Darius.
Thank you.
Right, we'll go. Oops, we don't have any recognition or other matters, so we'll go ahead and adjourn the regular Transportation Commission meeting and move right into the Bridge and Tunnel Enterprise Board of Directors meeting. So please, if you would, Herman, call the roll.
Director Barrett,
Here.
Director Marcano,
Present.
Director Jones,
Here.
Director Gutierrez is excused. Director Ritter. Here. Director McLaughlin.
Here.
Director Parsons.
Here.
Director Hart. Here. Director Masters.
Here.
Director Bowman.
Here.
I'm sorry. And Chair Cook.
Here. Thank you. Okay, do we have any public comments today? Don't think so. Okay, then we'll move on to the consent agenda. This is just proposed resolution BTE 1 to approve the regular meeting minutes of February 19, 2026. Any corrections or discussion? Otherwise, a motion? Commissioner
So
Hart?
moved.
And Commissioner Barrett as second. Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Looks like that's good too. All right, and then we go on to our second action item. This is proposal resolution number BTE 2, the final FY 2026-27 BTE budget allocation plan for adoption. Patrick Olindo, hello.
Good morning, directors.
Good morning.
I'm here today to request your approval of the fiscal year 2027 Bridge and Tunnel Enterprise Final Budget Allocation Plan. As you're aware, we complete our budget setting annually in conjunction with the larger department-wide budget that the TC adopted earlier today. We work closely with the Budget Office to ensure our budgets are coordinated through this iterative process. With respect to the BTE, no changes have occurred since we last workshopped the budget with you in February. We also held workshops reviewing the BTE budget in October and November of last year. The budget reflects the most recent fiscal year 2027 Bridge and Tunnel Enterprise revenue forecast of $207 million and allocates the revenues as follows: $2.6 million for administrative and operating expenses, $1.4 million for preservation and maintenance activities, $78.3 million for debt service obligations. This includes our senior bonds, infrastructure revenue bonds, and Central 70 availability payments. And finally, $124.7 million for our capital construction program. So subject to your approval, we will plan to allocate these funds through the monthly budget supplement process as follows. Roughly 58% of our capital construction program will be allocated to bridge replacement projects, 22% for tunnel capital improvements, 10% for bridge rehabilitation, and 10% for bridge preventative maintenance. So as I noted, we'll continue to bring you monthly budget supplements in accordance with our policy and procedural directives, giving you the opportunity to review and approve all of these projects as they proceed through their design and construction phases throughout the year. Happy to answer any questions you may have. If there are none, I request you consider a motion to approve.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Motion?
So moved.
Commissioner Masters,
Second.
Commissioner McLaughlin. Okay, no further discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Oh, that's good. Easy today. Thank you. Okay, that brings us to the agenda, to the end of the agenda, and no other matters. I'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting, and thank you all very much.
Thanks.